Okay guys, so what you're holding is the woodchuck keychain that we make at Wazoo. And with this keychain, when it's on your keychain, it really doesn't have any purpose other than just to kind of look like a cool keychain fob. But what you can do with it, when you disassemble it, is use the various parts in maybe a survival situation, or even just kind of in a situation where you need to you need extra tools that you need, and you'll have that on hand. The extra tools that this will gain you is some paracord. We also have a wire saw, which we're going to string up into a bow saw in a little bit. And then we have a fire steel, which we can scrape and turn into and help us with a fire. Yeah, you're looking at it. And we also have a mini signal mirror right there in the back. So to disassemble this woodchuck, we're going to have to unknot the top notch. You'll see that there's two ends poking out on either side of the small key ring here. So we're going to try and get those poked back through. And once those are through, it'll loosen up and we'll be able to untie the rest of the knots. Undo your tape, find the end, and of course just unravel it. It's still got the tackiness to it. It still can be stretched out and used as a cord. It's actually really good material just to be useful. And yours is actually still pretty good condition. Okay, so now we've disassembled it into paracord, the tape, the signal mirror nameplate with the key rings, because remember, all these little parts in a situation where you're trying to be innovative and use what you have on hand, every little thing might come useful to you, so don't throw anything away and think outside the box. Rings can be used for a lot of things. Some people even use these rings on the ends of makeshift cane fishing poles as the eyelet, things like that. And then the fire steel, and then of course the wire saw, which is in a little waterproof pack. So we want to take it out of that pack, and again, we're trying to preserve all the components so that we might be able to use those. This tubing itself can sometimes be useful. Take it out of that sleeve. Now you have wire. Alright, so now you have all your tools. We now have our wire outside, our paracord, the leftover straw that was holding our saw, the nameplate with the signal mirror, and our split rings, the fire steel, and some tape. Now what we need to do is create little finger rings with this saw. Typically a lot of these saws that you'll buy will have those already in there, but to save space and because that's not actually the proper way you want to use them, we have eliminated that. So what we're going to do is make little finger holes just so we can make the bow saw, and then we'll actually have a good working saw. Just because it's harvest the wood that we need to make that bow saw, we're going to need to just use what we have on our hands right now, which is the saw, and we're going to go ahead and put finger loops on it. So I've already tied one on this side. You're just going to put one end of your piece of paracord through the little eyelet on the saw and then do an overhand knot like so. Okay, so we made a wire saw like the standard way that people buy them with the little loops. I can't reiterate enough that this is not the ideal way to use it. In fact, this is what gave wire saws a bad reputation for last years, because if we chunk this over a log or a limb and we start sawing it like this, we're gonna have a lot of friction. You'll see if my thumb was a limb, 3/4 of the branch is being in contact with that wire, and it's bending it at 180 degrees, which makes all those little factors combined makes it really hard to pull back and forth and cut it. So go ahead and start cutting right here along the branch. Fine on itself, just try a different angle. Dude, I love it. All right, so we have our limb cut out. As you can see, it's actually in a pretty convenient angle. You could use one that's more bowed. This one just so happened to have that crick in it that is gonna make it pretty convenient. We can use the crimp. Of course, we could use paracord and string it across, but using the crimp is going to reserve our resources. So we'll be able to actually recycle this paracord and use it for any other kind of project we might have. Saw out the middle, because you have less meat you go through. There you go. Works really, it's kind of like a clove hitch, but works really good for doing a last little tension. And it stays locked.